everybody. We're here. We're live. Welcome back to the Cantata stream. I am joined with someone you might recognize from, I don't remember the last time we did a stream, but I'm here with, I don't know, you want to introduce yourself?
Well, it's been quite a while. Yeah, I'm Rogue
while.
Fong. I'm a gameplay developer here at After School working on Cantata. Super excited for this, super excited for the new trailer and all of the things we're going to show you today. And also...
I'm here, Kyle Cookstell, lead developer and a lot of other stuff on the Cantata team. And we're also here with After School's latest employee, who's not on video, but he's on chat.
Yes, hello. Hello, it's me. My name is Mark. I'm a gameplay developer on Cantata, and I am extremely excited about all the changes that we've been making recently to the game, and I cannot wait to show them all to you guys.
I also just realized I need to bring up the list of things we're going to talk about, so I apologize in advance for the small technical change while we show the stream for a second. And then I'm going to zoom back in and then make sure this is all good.
Yeah, there's a new voice.
Warm
welcome.
Yes, new voice.
Warm welcome to Mark.
Yeah.
A voice for radio, or a voice for Twitch.
Truly a voice for the stream.
Yeah.
I am most at home when I'm on the stream.
So if you all, we were in the trailer before the stream, but if you're just tuning in and you're watching this, we've officially announced the Cantata release date for early access, which will be May 12th, 2022, which is less than 2 months away. I think it's pretty close. Something
like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to go into early access. We can talk a little bit about what will be in the early access maybe later on, but what we want to do for this stream, I think, is just sort of talk about what's changed, what's new in the game, and then just kind of talk about what we want to do for early access, I think, and kind of what our plans are for that. So I don't know, we could just get into it and just talk about all this stuff. So I guess what we're saying too, sorry. So we're playing the new demo. So there's currently a new demo live on Steam, and if you're watching on Steam, hello. This is able to be played right now. We have the exact same build everyone else has. So we're going to show you at least one major part of the demo. The demo is broken up into two major sections. There's the tutorial as well as chapter 1. So the tutorial will, as a tutorial does, teach you how to play Cantata. It'll kind of cover a lot of concepts. If you played the demo before, we still recommend doing the tutorial because there is a lot of new stuff in the game that you might not know about that is worth exploring. Chapter 1 is the first of the 3 maps that will be shipping with early access. So the whole game has 9 chapters, which are really big maps. It sounds small, but they're really big. You'll see when we play on chapter 1. Take some time. And so this is basically the first kind of like main level in Cantata. All told, it might take you like 1 to 3 hours to play chapter 1 and probably like 20 minutes maybe to get through the tutorial, maybe less if you power through it. So, good chunk of demo that you can play. What we're going to do for this stream is kind of go into chapter 1 and then just kind of use that to talk a little bit about what's like generally happening in the game and what's changed since people might have last seen it. I guess almost a year ago at Gamescom when we did the last big demo.
Yeah, August of last year.
Nothing but good news.
Nothing but good news. The game has come a long way. We take a lot of feedback to heart, so we're excited to show everybody what's going on.
Also, when we go into early access, the first 3 chapters that ship with it, this means that you'll be able to play as all 3 of the factions.
Yes.
So not just the human faction like we've seen in these demos, but you'll also get to play the other faction. So something to look forward to.
If you've been playing all the demos, you've only seen the 111th Reign of Harmony and Prosper, which is the human faction. The other 2 factions, the machines, who we call the Unified Spirit, then the aliens, or the people of Sun and Shadow. They'll be also playable for each of their respective chapters. So we're just going to show you, and the demo just has this one faction, but know that in the early access and obviously the full game, you'll be able to play as all the factions. So let's just load into the match.
Yeah. Do we want to read this as well? Or do we want to place it?
Yeah.
Well, Mark has such a great voice for it.
7 warships. 7. each one loaded with empty troops, ammunition, and fuel to mount an assault on any system within 3 jumps of here. By the crowded heavens! The machines could take Jupiter with a force that size if they were quick enough. They muster all that power and bring it... where? To a backwater planet like Shoal. A colony full of bright-eyed frontier yokels that didn't even make it a year out here. Why? I thought Vashti was supposed to be some tactical genius. What is she thinking?
She's not thinking.
Oh.
I want to. You took the executive. I want to take the Shotire. She's not thinking anything, executive, because she is not a person. She's a malfunctioning home appliance with delusions of grandeur. Who knows why she has chosen to bring her clicking, whirring hordes to this rather provincial place? The reign of harmony and prosper has beaten her on 3 planets now. I intend to make this the 4th. And, unlike those other foolish commanders, I won't let her slip away this time.
You shouldn't be careless, sire. I hear the last person to underestimate Vashti's strength was her owner. May he find peace in the hereafter.
Executive?
Yes, sire?
Speak to me again in such a manner, and I will have you shot. I'm certain the company has another officer they can send to protect their investment here, don't you think?
Yes, sire. Yes, sire. My apologies.
I am the Shotar of Mars, scion of a family that has ruled from the peaks of Olympus Mons for untold generations. We have crushed would-be kings, cunning usurpers, throngs of nameless rabble, and every other manner of upstart. The only difference is that the heads of these traitors will not rot when I spike them atop my palace. Ensign, has the Vanguard made landfall yet?
Yes, sire.
Commence the assault!
All right. Great job. You are hired. You get to be Cantata's voice actors. Yeah, so if you played the previous Chapter 1 demo, the story on Chapter 1 is the same, but it's been fully redesigned. I think a lot of our sort of feedback that came from that was that the maps felt too big and a little unstructured. So we took a lot of that stuff to heart to try to make it so that it just feels good. Like everything should feel much better. So where should we start? I guess one thing I want to bring up is
What's changed?
Yeah, what's changed? So I guess one small thing I'll show. So people, one thing that we got feedback on when we first started was that the widescreen support wasn't very good. And we've done a lot of stuff to sort of remedy that. So we now have a much more robust settings menu here. And there's a match UI scale slider. And what this will do is it'll increase or decrease the scale of the UI. So we try to keep it generally centered in the screen, but if you have a really, really wide monitor, you can increase or decrease the slider. So if I just show you right here, you can see I've got some buffer, but because we're on the stream, I'm gonna make it a little bigger so everyone can see it. So I can slide up this slider a little bit, and now it's got much more, it's got just a little more space. So now we can kind of, it's bigger, everyone can see it better. Yeah, so I'm gonna start running through some of the new stuff that's changed. The biggest thing to start, I think, is this was like a huge point of feedback when we first showed the demo at Gamescom, was that everyone was like, we like this AP system, we like this concept of limited orders, but it's like too restrictive. It's really hard to have so much AP. Every action required AP, so what it meant was that only a certain number of units could act every turn. But to the point where like it would just take a lot of turns to do stuff that could otherwise be done pretty easily. So what we did was that for the AP system, instead of having it be something where it's kind of like woven into every action, we now treat it more like what we would call like a stretch resource. So it's something where you can kind of do more by spending AP, but it's not a prerequisite to just do anything. Some things do still cost AP at a baseline, but what you'll find when you're playing the game is that a lot of stuff doesn't cost AP in the way it used to. So a really simple example of this is that when I select a conscript and try to move them on the map, I can see here for my AP cost on my little tooltip that it's telling me that this costs 0 AP. This used to cost AP in the old game, in the old systems, and not only that, but we had this concept of exhaust and like blah, 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 and things cost more AP over time. That's just gone now. everything in Cantata can move or attack once per turn, with some exceptions, but most stuff can move or attack once per turn. So when I move either of these conscripts, it's not going to tick down my AP. So I'm just going to click this conscript and move them over here. And I can see that I still have the same amount of AP. So what this does for the game is make it just kind of like, you can just do a lot more on a single turn, so that each turn kind of lasts a little longer. But we think that what's nice about that is it gives you a lot of flexibility inside of a turn. So most things, like I said, can move or attack once per turn, but you'll see this in a tutorial as well. But some units also have the ability to surge, as we call it, their ability to move or attack, which at some AP cost allows them to act again. So let's say, for example, I move both my conscripts, and then I've got this rickshaw here, and I move this a little bit as well. I can press the E key, which we'll talk about a little later, and I can see that my movement arrow on these icons is grayed out, which means they've all moved. However, if I want to, I could surge the conscript's movement, and now I'm able to move again, though I've spent 3 of my AP. So if you're like in some situation where you want to, kind of really push your conscript to a new level to make it, move them into other territory or something, you can spend some AP to do that. The same system still applies, where there's still player levels. So as you do actions in the game, you'll get experience points, which then will give you more AP. So over time, you'll be able to do more with this stretch resource. But to start, you just have 5, so you can't do a ton of stuff. So I surged my conscript, so I'm going to keep moving up and kind of go explore what's going on over here. Whew, a lot of stuff already.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
So Rogue, I'm looking on the map right now, and I see all of these borders and outlines. Can you explain what's going on there?
Yeah, so now we have a robust region system in Cantata. So right now you're starting out with a region that you own. So in Cantata, regions can be owned, and they start out, if you're not applying what we call pressure, and this pressure system, regions will start out as neutral. If you as a player can apply enough pressure to a region, then you will own that region, and that region will give you a lot of benefits. And right here you can see in this little tooltip, or actually, yeah, so there's this region badge right here, and you can see that you own the landing zone. There's that number. Yeah, with the green outline right there, landing zone. And you can also see there's some adjacent regions. So up to the north, there's the Northern Forest, and we also have this scorched battlefield out to the east. So right now, with this region ownership, you own the landing zone. What that gives you is the ability to build buildings in your region. So what we also, let's see, right here, you can see that this region, you're allowed to build 3, does it show in the tooltip? Yeah, infrastructure limit.
Oh, yeah,
you can build 3 buildings here. Yeah, this tooltip is great. You can build 3 buildings here. So this is really fun because it forces you to expand more throughout the map, which we want you to push forward and explore all of these crazy things that Chapter 1 has to offer. But we do block the infrastructure. And you can only build for this infrastructure limit if you own a region. So applying pressure will allow you to do that. And so the way that the humans do this is the conscripts, let's click on a conscript, they build these royal banners right here that apply pressure, and they basically put their mark on this land, say, hey, we own this now. So I think what we can try to do is we should try to push forward into that Northern Forest.
So I'm in my turn. I've already used my actions, so.
Yeah. Let's end the turn, and we will leave our landing zone. So now this conscript is in a different region. It's in this landing zone, which
not owned by us.
There it is. Oh, Northern Forest. Okay, yeah. We're in the Northern Forest, which is shown as neutral. So we can try to capture it. And it looks like, based on the tooltip, we have 0 out of 5 pressure. So we want to apply pressure to own this Northern Forest region. So the way we can do that is we can build a flag from the conscript. So let's place a flag in the region. This royal banner. Okay, and now it looks like we own this region here, owned by you. And now we have the affordances that this owning this region gives us. So if you look on that region badge right there, we can build 2 buildings in here. Which also leads us to something exciting, something special about this Northern Forest here, which is this little icon here with 100 and our little global supply icon. So we've added to Cantata resources. We've added resource nodes and a way to add to your global supply. So this was also something that was a huge feedback from the Gamescom demo, which is basically this number up on the top banner. Let's go to the supply. So our global resources, this number ticked down every turn when we were generating supply for our supply lines, which we'll look at in a moment. But we wanted the ability to give people flexibility in managing this supply, which is really important for people feeling like they have control over the situation. So we can see that there is remaining supply, which is how much we have to play with, which will allow us to build infrastructure and build flags and projects and other stuff. But we also have income and a generator pull. So income can be gained by mining these resources that you find in regions. So we can see that there's 100 global resources at this diamonds node. So the way that we can have access to that is by building a mining facility on top of it. So in the infrastructure, we now have a building, the mining facility, which specializes in extracting these resources and giving them to you as income each turn. So we can try to build that on top. And it's important to note, oh, yeah?
Oh, I think you were going to say it, yeah.
Yeah, that you need to build it on top of the node and not next to it. So
and you can tell when it's in the right position because in the top of the little preview, it's got the little yellow mining node, whereas if I mouse over somewhere else, we're not seeing that it's able to mine. So no good. And it'll also tell you in the tooltip if there's available resources or not.
Yeah, no resources. This one has resources.
Ooh.
Colonists truly have the strangest customs, don't they? What's this?
Ooh. So we got a new objective to inspect the strange shrine. It says, what a strange structure. Perhaps this warrants a closer inspection, which we might or may not do in this stream.
Yeah, might leave it to you. And so now what we can do, let's hover over that tooltip at the top with our resources. So we can see now that we get +5 income per turn because we placed that mining facility. So this is a way that you can replenish your stores if you're going through resources really quickly, but also how much you make per turn depends on how many nodes you're able to mine at a given point in time.
And I think this was just to really drive this home. In the older versions of the game, the kind of idea was that you just had a large pool of global supply and it just kind of like dripped all the way over time. And then now most maps you start out with a much smaller pool of supply, and then your kind of goal is to expand out and try to capture these resource nodes to be able to pull resources in. It's also worth saying that in things like multiplayer, these nodes have a limited supply. You'll see it. I'll just end my turn actually, so you'll see. This will go from 100 down to 95, and that's persistent per player, or so that's persistent for the whole map. So if you're some other player who's playing against someone else, or like it's an AI opponent or something, you're going to want to try to clear out not only things that generate pressure so you can capture the regions, but also take out these facilities, because as soon as those resources are used, you can't really give them back. So you want to be able to take out someone else's ability to mine and make it so that you're kind of like struggling, or sorry, you're kind of, you're cutting off their supply of resources to their player, because resources are also required to build these buildings that are your infrastructure. So it's the resource economy is sort of much tighter now, and you have a lot more control over where you choose to spend stuff and what you choose to kind of do with those resources.
Yeah. And just a perfect jumping off point, let's click on the HQ. So this is your building that you start with, your headquarters, when you start chapter 1. And in this panel here, in order to build your supply network, you'll need to be able to turn those global resources into these supply types. And so the headquarters will turn at a rate of 1 to 1. This is your global resource draw. It will turn 1 global resource into 1 alloys. And if, let's say that we don't really care about building our supply network in the beginning, and we don't want to slowly deplete all of our global resources from the get-go, we can change this number. So it doesn't really matter. You can just go up and down. You can show that if we really want to pump these supply lines full of alloys, we can generate 5 per turn, or we can generate as little as 0 per turn at a rate of 1 to 1.
And you can also see at the top of the screen too that our number,
yeah,
your balance is shifting based on how much you're spending. So with a 5 income right now that's coming from the mining facility, if we push this all the way to 5, we can now see that we're basically netting 0. We're generating 5 resources at the start of the turn just as much as we're spending 5 to produce that new supply type.
Yeah, precisely. So that's a good way to start managing your supply network from the get-go. If you decide that you want to start building your network from the beginning, you can work in on that. Or if you want to just not think about it for a few turns, you can drop that number down to 0 and use those global resources for other stuff.
Cool. Yeah. One other thing we're going to talk about with regions. So we have this concept of regions, and as Rogue mentioned, I'm pressing R, by the way, to show these little region banners. They're a little sort of buggy right now. You can see they collide with the UI, so we just turn them off. But if you want to see them, you can just press R. You can see that, so this is showing us a few things. It's kind of an information-dense element. This little tick up here shows us who owns this, or if it's neutral. So this little white dot in the middle means it's neutral. On the right, green means we own it. On the left would mean an enemy owns it. The name, this number, 1 out of 3, is the infrastructure limit that Rogue mentioned. We have a concept of victory points now in Cantata that we're not going to talk about too much, but basically regions can grant some number of victory points that then give you effectively kind of persistent score that you can be used to complete a chapter or an objective. But then there's this other number over here, and so on landing zone we see that it's 10. This is population, which is also another new system that we've introduced since Gamescom. So what we found sort of in Gamescom really early on, as well as kind of doing our own internal testing, was that it was very easy for people to just kind of build a lot of stuff. There were some blockers on that with a limited pool of resources, but with population, the idea is that in order to actually just build every like unit usually costs some population amount. So if I don't even know if we surface it now that I'm thinking about that. Oh, we don't surface it.
I think we only surface it right now in the infrastructure menu.
Right, because these cost pop. No, we don't.
The tower transport should.
Oh, pop cost 4. Okay, I guess the tower transport's the only one. I believe most stuff for the Rain faction is basically 1 or 2 pop. And we'll provide like a breakdown of that for sure, kind of around the early access time. But the idea is that you can only sort of build up to your population limit, which right now we see is 15. But if I was to take other regions, so I can see that I'm getting 15 because this is 10 and this is 5. If I was to capture this region, I would then get a +5 population bonus. So as you can see, the map is still pretty big. So there's other regions on here that as I capture them, I'll increase my pop limit, which tells me able to have basically more space to build more stuff. So you're kind of always playing with like how much population at a given moment. We don't really like penalize extra population yet. We might do that at some point, but for now, basically you have to build stuff such that you're still inside your pop limit. So if you can't build something, it might be like, oh, well, you've run out of pop space effectively. So go capture something new.
Yeah. Or if you lose it, we won't again penalize you. So if you lose a region and let's say your population is at its max at 15 right now, and let's say you lose the scorched battlefield and you lose a 5 pop bonus, we won't penalize you for having 15 pop when your limit is 10.
Right. Okay, I'm going to talk about something a little bit different that is closer in line with base building. I guess I'm going to have to show something, Mark, that I think you would like to talk about. So I'm going to place this. I need to build a small little supply network here. So I'm going to go ahead and place down a refinery. And Mark,
what is that? What's going on there?
Can you say what's going to happen when I click?
So we have a new concept or a quality of life feature, which is auto supply lines. When you place a building and it's in range of a building that can supply it with material, it'll automatically produce those supply lines and connect them. So when Kyle clicks to build this refinery, there will automatically be a supply line built from the headquarters to the refinery that sends alloy. And of course, if you really don't want that, you can go and delete it. But we found that players usually wanted to set up their input lines immediately, so this saves you a lot of mouse clicks and fiddling with the menu.
Yeah, so I'm just going to click the refinery right here. And I can see that in clicking, that line is already established, which is just so nice. If you played the old versions, you know that you have to click the headquarters, click the supply line, click the destination. Now it's all just basically one click. And what this means now is that, so for those of you who don't know Cantata, this might not be the best stream for you. I'm realizing we're talking a lot about stuff as if people already know. So if you don't know, we'll definitely be doing more streams leading up to early access on May 12th. So it might do like a Cantata for beginners or something, just to kind of talk people through like the core systems. And as we're saying, the tutorial in the game I think is really good, not just because I was the person that made it, but we do really step through each little part of the game. So if you feel a little lost in what we're saying right now, definitely check the tutorial out. It will sort of show you what you need to know. So when I click this headquarters here, we can now see that we have this outgoing supply line. Oh, this UI is new. I forgot that. We totally redid the UI. Yeah. So we've got our portrait here. Oh, they're not showing right now. I forgot about that. This will be this is like the thing that's selected. This is the health. The little sort of this little vertical rectangle element. This is kind of like our supply line UI basically. And if they're on the left side of your screen over here, this represents inputs. So when I'm in the refinery right now and I mouse over this, I can see with this little arrow that appears up here that I'm connected to this HQ. And if I click the HQ, I'll jump to that building, or if I click this one, I'll jump to that one, back and forth. So if I look at my HQ here, I can see that I'm providing one alloy at the cost of one alloy to this refinery at the start of my next turn. So that's nice. But what I'm going to also do is I'm going to move my conscript up here. Uh-oh. Ooh, who's this? I'll do it. Those things that came out of the trees, like wild creatures, like walking nightmares. Everyone's gone.
Get this soldier back to the front lines.
Ruthless.
Someone get this soldier.
Ruthless. So let's see. Okay, so I'm back in this thing. What I want to do though, I'm going to build a banner. Yeah, something is up with our... there's some weird lagging with these lines showing. This should show green, I believe. Yeah. Oh, weird. I don't know why that's going on. We still have bugs. We're not in early access yet.
Yeah.
And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach this garage to this refinery here. So you put it. Oh, this is also sort of new. So inside of, we have sort of like 3 degrees of visibility in Cantata. We have what we call visible tiles, which is the stuff that's kind of like bright and lit up. We have what we call explored tiles, which are these tiles where you can sort of see the terrain, but you can't see what is on the terrain. And then we have basically not visible tiles, which are these darker things that you can't see. What we now do is that we show enemies that are, or at least stuff you don't know, that is inside your explored range right now. So we don't know what's here, where this X is at, but we know something is there. So if I'm choosing where to place a building, I probably don't want to place it really close to here. This might be a bad idea. So I'm going to go ahead and just build this building like maybe here. Oh, it's just some remains. So that's fine. Ooh, something else has appeared. So I've connected this. My supply line has connected automatically. What I'm seeing now is that between these 2 buildings, I have this exclamation mark on this supply line. And Mark, do you want to explain what this is?
Yeah, so that is warning you that if you ended the turn right now, that supply line doesn't have enough material at the origin to make it to the destination. So the tooltip is complaining that there isn't enough fuel in the origin, but I think if you wait a turn or 2, you just might find that that supply line will kick into gear.
You just might find. Yeah, so we just connected our refinery to our HQ this turn, and that HQ hasn't actually produced any resources to this refinery. And that also means that because this refinery has no oil in it, or any alloys in it, it's not able to produce oil to send to this garage. Which you can also see here. If you mouse over this little exclamation mark, it's saying there's not enough supply of the supply type and storage to be able to produce for this supply line. So right now we can see that, hey, there's not enough alloys inside here to produce for this. But I'm just going to end some turns and we'll see what happens next. So inside my refinery, I now have one here, but then also, Mark, what has happened here?
Well, you can see now that the supply line is indeed purring away, and since we are successfully converting the materials coming from the headquarters into oil or fuel, the supply line is now functioning as intended.
Yeah, so now because we have this alloy in our storage, we'll now be able to produce fuel this next turn. So even though I don't have any in here right now, when I end my turn, we can now see that bing, bang, boom, there's our oil. So now we have
this way now. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
In this way now, the supply network takes time to propagate its material from the origin to the destination, and everything doesn't happen all in one turn. Mm-hmm. So distance and the number of nodes in your supply network starts to matter more and more if you need materials on the front lines quickly.
Mm-hmm. I'm just remembering, do we have storage-based stuff for Gamescom, or is that all providers? I don't remember. I can't talk about that. I don't remember. I think something else changed. Sorry, just so many things have happened. Okay, so excuse me. So each supply line that we've established now, not only is it producing resources, but supply lines themselves have levels. So these supply lines, as all connected right now, I can see with this little top icon here, this 1, what this is telling me is this is level 1. And if I mouse over this little up arrow here, this will say, hey, you can upgrade this supply line. So in mousing over this, I can see, hey, upgrade supply line. And then it's going to tell me what my consumption at my next level is, as well as my outgoing amount. So when I upgrade to level 2 right now, I can see that my amount will basically stay as 1 and my consumption will stay as 1. However, there's also a new thing that is in this, which if at the very top, this says the next level provides roads. So I'm gonna do this. And so we just upgraded. And we see now that this is blue, which represents level 2. And what this also means now, if I mouse over this, is that this line now provides roads. So this is like a more advanced Cantata concept, but I want to just talk about it on the stream because we're here. one thing that we sort of found in sort of like play testing the game a lot these past few months, almost a year, was that you want to kind of get a lot of your stuff to the front line kind of as quick as possible. Actually move my conscript back here. And so what we want...
build a conscript.
Oh, yes, could build a conscript.
From the headquarters.
You're right. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, so you kind of want like a way to kind of move quickly across the map. And the way that the human faction does this largely is through this concept of roads. So this line now provides roads. And what I'm going to do now is I'm also going to upgrade this supply line to now this one provides roads. I don't know if these upgrades are free or not. I forgot to check. But I'm going to end my turn and show you what happens next.
I think the upgrades are free right now.
Yeah. So when I mouse over my conscript, if you're looking right here, you can see that I have normal conscript movement, which is, well and good. However, when I also mouse over the conscript, if you look at this garage down here, you'll see that there's also a movement range appears around that. And the best way to describe this, we don't have a lot of great sort of visibility for this yet, so I'll just try to describe it roughly. The way this works is that if you imagine each region as kind of its own little node, each region can be connected to each other through supply lines for the human faction. They're at least level 2. And if those regions are connected, you can then move units between those regions really quickly to buildings that are connected. So this conscript, instead of having to spend 2 or 3 turns and surging to move from this place to here, I can now actually place them directly right here. So now they've been moved from where they spawned over here to now be spawned over, or to basically moved here. The only downside now, if I mouse over my unit, I can see that its cooldown for its moving and attacking has gone up a turn. So it kind of has to wait. You did like a really big move across the map, but now you have to wait a little longer till you can move again. So what this does is it gives you kind of a really fast way to move units across the map for supply lines that are upgraded and connected. Again, that's an advanced concept. We'll talk about it more probably in the future, but don't worry about it if you don't get it for now. So that's that was sort of a big change as well. Actually, speaking of UX stuff, we've been kind of, I've been avoiding something that's been a big change in Cantata that if you've played a lot of strategy games, recent strategy games specifically, you might enjoy, which is our new tooltip system. So Rogue, do you want to tell people what's going on?
Yeah, well, first off, let's just quickly look at that menu that you changed that tooltip setting on. Yeah. So we have 2 settings for tooltip locking. A timer, which is probably good if you're beginning and you just want tooltips for everything. And then mouse, which is once you've gotten all the information and you just want anything at a glance, you can lock it with a mouse. But let's go over to the timer. And let's show some tooltips. So it looks like right now you're hovering over the grass tile, and you can see that bar that is really nice coloration from loading from left to right. It's very satisfying. And that basically will lock the tooltip, which if you then move your mouse, you can kind of hover over it, and anything that is tooltippable will spawn a tooltip. So looks like the tile doesn't, nothing in the grass tile. But if we look at supply, right now we just have 4 items that you can look at. You have a remaining amount, you have income, generator pull, and available. And if you have any questions about, okay, well, why is my generator pull -1, and your tooltip is locked, you can hover over and see, oh, there's a tooltip here. Generator pull is how many resources are being consumed at a minimum. Or I can't.
Yeah,
well,
sorry,
it's small for me right now. I'm like reading it through screens. But if we look at available, you can see how is this calculated. And then if you look at remaining resources let's see. So mined nodes. Okay, so if you're looking at resources or resource income, what is that? And it's based on your mined nodes. Mm-hmm. There's a tooltip there that tells you what a mined node is, and then some tiles on the map are resource nodes that have supply stores. Are resource nodes, is that tooltipable?
Resource nodes.
Yeah.
We need
In the
to-
future, there'll be a little nice indication about what is tooltipable and not. But right now, it's a little bit exploratory. That first one? Okay.
It's not, yeah. But
Um,
I think like the high level takeaway, right, is that like we have nested tooltips. So I think that this is like a major sort of thing in strategy games that has like been a big innovation, and we want to be part of that, and we want to make sure that a lot of the information is kind of available for players when you guys are playing to be like, oh, like what's this? Like what's population? And then you can, once that tooltip locks, you can mouse over this. I'll also quickly show the other setting that Rogue mentioned, which is the mouse lock, which lets you, instead of having to wait for a bar to open, you can hover over something and press the middle mouse button, and then that'll lock all of your tooltips. So instead of having to wait,
population is probably the most nested, I think.
pop bonus, yeah. I guess I can unlock action points too. So yeah, so you can just kind of like really explore, and our sort of goal is to basically tooltip everything. So there shouldn't be really anything that you can, or any sort of like major term. So like for example, inside the grass, you want to be able to, you know, mouse over this pop thing and remind you what pop is, or this is the movement, movement cost and the vision cost. Yeah, so you want to be able to mouse over these and be like, oh, what is that? So instead of having to stack all this stuff in a tooltip, we're going to provide you with this sort of nesting system that allows you to really easily see the way stuff works. The only other thing I'll mention that's part of this setting as well is that you can also set more settings around this stuff. So for example, if you wanted to keep it, the first two settings are relevant for anything. So if I really increase my tooltip delay to like 2 seconds, I mouse over something, it takes like 2 seconds for it to appear. So if you're like really annoyed that tooltips keep popping up and you're like, actually, I want to wait longer, you can do that. And then if you mess your settings up, you can click these little buttons here and it resets it back to normal, and then it all works well and good. So
these will be super helpful, I think, with a lot of these new concepts, since things like population are not gone through in the tutorial. So anything that isn't in the tutorial, I tried really hard to add as many tooltips as possible.
And I think especially if you are playing, definitely let us know the stuff that you are expecting to see tooltips for, or you don't see tooltips for, or you want more information for, because we have the ability for us to add this stuff is very easy. So let us know. What else we got? So we got, move and attack previews. Yeah, so this is actually, so moving a little bit away from tooltips, but still moving around on the map. Mark, can you explain what's happening when actually, let me get a little bit closer. Oh, is this the one that I can search it still? Yeah. Can you explain what I'm seeing here, Mark, when I select a unit and I mouse over these tiles?
Yeah, so you get some handy previews, so you don't have to guess and check and count tiles. We try to minimize counting tiles as much as possible. So you see because this conscript has the ability to attack, you see a nice range outline of tiles that conscript could attack if you moved it to the tile that you're hovering over. So if we wanted to, for some reason, attack that remains pile to our northeast, you can see all of the potential tiles that we could execute the attack from if we moved to that destination tile. And a lot of work has been put into previews and trying to present all of this tactical information to the user as clearly as possible to avoid counting tiles and finding out that you're one tile too short.
Yeah.
You know, you should be able to know the capabilities of your units at the position you're trying to get information from.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I guess you can really see it here. Maybe move a little bit closer, be able to see a little bit more. Machine-sided sire.
Warriors of the 111th reign of harmony and prosper. Destroy them!
So we've now seen our first machine here. So this is the first little taste of animosity. So you can move the conscript up here. And now I'm running into issues where I haven't really been playing Cantata. I'm a little out of position. There's an enemy here. I'm going to assume that these are probably enemies as well. And I need a few more things on my side. So maybe I'll build tower transport here. Maybe, let's put them maybe here.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I found it. There's a resource node there, but I can see here now this region is owned by the enemy. And if I press R again, I can see that this forward plane's here. It's also got a good pop bonus. This is worth 7, so it's worth definitely trying to take. But at my tower transport, when I spawn it, it has the ability to load and unload units. And this was a big point of feedback as well, where people got sort of tired of having to like DJ their loading and unloading. So Rogue, what's a fast way for me to unload all these conscripts?
Well, the fastest way is to unload all the conscripts. So let's, well, if you want to click a button, you could. It's either C or V. Yeah. And yeah. So there's a hotkey for it, but you could also just click on one of them. And you can see where you're able to unload them. We've also, for a lot of these units, upped their load and unload range, just because why would you need the conscript to be one tile away? So you have a lot more flexibility in where you place your conscripts. So let's go ahead and place one of them. And then if you hover over, you can just place all of them if you want.
Ooh.
Oh, except we just triggered a dialogue. So
Mark dialogue. Mark?
Muted. That walker in the center, its legs are shot to pieces. They must have been unwilling to leave one. It's almost
foolish, idiotic, weak-willed.
Precisely my thoughts, sire.
Also, shout out to someone on the Discord. Did I think the first piece of Cantata fan art? They made a comic of that that scene. And this wasn't meant to be a plug, but if you do want to join our Discord, over on the right here, we have our settings menu. And there's this Discord button, which if you click this, it's a persistent link. It'll open up to the Discord for us. So if you want to come talk with us and hang out, Discord's right there. Also worth just saying, we still have our feedback panel. So if you see a bug or anything that you want to talk about, you can attach a screenshot. You can say some text like, wow, I really love Cantata. You can send that, and then that will send this feedback. And this goes directly to like our bug tracking tool. So if you want to send stuff to us or whatever you want to send,
we'll see it.
We'll see it. It'll come through the feedback form, and it'll become part of the work that we do to make the game better. It might take a little bit for this first one to send, but I'm just going to watch this little dots go. It does. I promise it does work. There we go. We also send back a little bug ID. So if you are talking to us on the Discord and you're like, hey, I submitted this bug, what's the status of it? If you have this number, we can really just directly look up that bug number. So, and you can just copy and paste this from the text field. So, and it also, if you do that, that definitely helps us. So if you want to help us make Cantata better, definitely do that. This will probably be up through early access to release, if not even beyond release, just to make sure we're catching as much stuff as we can. Okay, so we talked about auto connections, talked about move attack previews. I guess I'll just show one other thing. Can anybody move? I guess I could surge somebody. Oh, they can't surge movement. Oh, I don't have enough AP. Oh no. Okay, this will be interesting. Let's see what happens. So these enemy units are moving towards me.
Ooh.
Someone's moving over here.
What just moves there in the shadows?
I don't know. Oh, I guess also this is a new thing that we just sort of take for granted now. You can now preview the ownership of units by this little border around them. So we can tell that these conscripts are owned by me and this builder drone is owned by the enemy because we have green borders and the enemy has red. We're probably going to add some setting to be able to toggle those on and off too. So if you don't want to have them on all the time because it can get distracting. Sort of in a similar way where we have the sort of E menu, which shows you kind of a status of everything. That's also on and off. So we kind of want to give you the flexibility to do kind of like, play Cantata with the amount of information that you want visible. Let's see, I think I'm just going to show. So yeah, so if I'm moving, just to close out talking about attack previews, you can see that when I move this conscript, I'm not just seeing like where I could attack for one unit. It's showing me sort of any possible place I could attack. So by moving over here, I can see that not only can I attack this unit that's kind of hidden behind my tower transport, but I could also attack this remains and sort of all that stuff as well. And I could also hit this builder drone from way over here. So it's just really convenient to be able to tell, where I should move to put myself in a specific position without having to count tiles, as Mark mentioned. One last thing I'll mention, kind of as part of this big changes that have happened, is we have now added in the ability to save and load the game. We did it. We did it, everybody. We added it in.
Here, you can finally save.
It was a pain, but we did it, and it works beautifully. So you can see my state of the game here. If you're playing, whatever, you want to load an old save, or you want to save, or whatever else, you can go to the game menu, or you can just press escape as well. You can go to save game, then you type in a save game. So I'm going to call this I don't know, live stream save. And when I save it, I can see that it's appeared here. And then now I could just load that. It wouldn't really make sense to load the save. But I can preview here the saves that I've done. But then if I exit the game, actually I'll mention this too. So not only is there the ability to save, but we also add in the ability to auto save. So I know that for games like this, people, it really sucks to forget you didn't save or something at some point. What we do here is that we have the ability to auto save. So if you tick this to be true, you can then also set a turn incrementer, which will tell you how often do you want to save, and we see it in the tooltip as well. So if you're someone who just loves to load old saves, you might want to turn your auto save increment to 1. And what that means is that basically every single turn, you'll produce an autosave at the start of your turn. Or, you might bump it up to 3. So every 3 turns it saves. So you can just set this whatever you want to. I'll keep it off for now. But then also when I go to exit the game, I can also create an autosave on exit. So if for whatever reason you want to just leave the game, this defaults to true as well. So if you try to exit, it will automatically save your game when you exit. Because I just saved, I'm going to uncheck this and just exit to main menu. And then to load my save from the demo, if I click demo and then click load, and I scroll down here, live stream save. If I click this, I will then load back in, and here I am, back again playing Cantata. So it works. There's some weird things with it that have to do with stuff that you probably won't notice, but you could definitely count on it. We use it all the time now. It works, and it's nice. You don't have to play all these scenarios and marathon sessions because you can't save and load the game. So, and there's no harm in loading an old save if you messed up. We don't want to make it seem like you have to do everything perfectly. And what else? Yeah. Trying to think of other fun stuff to talk about.
The very professional tech.
Yeah. So we don't have a great solve for this yet, but obviously I know and we all know because we're the developers that the headquarters attaches to the refinery, which attaches to the garage to produce rickshaws. However, if you don't know that, we've added in this tech tree viewer, which is this very professional tech tree for the 111th reign of Harmony and Prosper. So here's this professional tech tree we put in the game to help show you what stuff goes where. So if you need help, this is a good sort of way to figure out what stuff connects to this faction. And again, we're just showing the human faction right now. There are 2 other full factions that we haven't really shown a lot of that'll be playable in the early access game and maybe a little bit before that. But for the most part, you'll be playing as the human faction, and that is the case for the demo. So if you want to see what stuff connects to what, the tech tree is in here. You can just easily toggle it on and off with this button up here, which is really great. Other sort of small stuff we just wanted to talk about were things that we've brought up sort of as part of talking about this, but also things that will just kind of make your life easier when you're playing. The first one is scrolling in and out, zooms the map. So if you scroll in and out, you can zoom. So this is nice to get a nice tactical view of the game and then scroll in to really do fine-tuned movement. Kind of related to that are the modifier keys that I've been using. So you can press the key R, and that will give you a region overview. So you can really quickly see what regions are owned by who and not have to like try to find these borders and, mouse over stuff. Similar to that is the E key, which allows you to turn on these little previews for units showing you basically what a unit can do. So right now I can see this conscript has the ability to move and attack. And it might be hard to see on stream, but there's a little gray up arrow here, which means that this unit has the ability to surge, that movement ability, though it cannot surge right now. However, if I move, you'll see it turn yellow, which now means I can surge my movement ability. So this is a really easy way to kind of tell at a glance what something can and can't do, so you're not having to like click and open every unit to figure out what's going on. Other keys, sorry, Q, R, or Q? I don't know what Q. Oh, Q.
Yeah.
So if you mouse over a unit, by default will show you its movement range as well as where it can attack. But if you want to see the actual attack range, you can press Q, and that will show you kind of like where else this thing can attack. You can toggle those back and forth. You can also do it while selected. So right now I'm doing a movement, but then if I press Q, I can see that actually I can just attack wherever I want to attack. So I can even attack open area, which doesn't do anything, but you can do it. C and V do unloading, which we had talked about. And then, so this is like I don't know if you feel like being a speedrunner. The B key toggles the infrastructure menu, and then the numbers toggle the buildings to build. So if you want to really quickly hotkey yourself to build buildings, go right ahead. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up the main portion of what we wanted to talk about for this stream. We can talk a little bit more about early access and stuff, but is anybody who's watching have any questions or stuff that we didn't touch on that people want to know about, or want us to talk about any other specific things that you're interested in, or anything that we kind of glazed over that you want to know more about?
Raytheon says clap.
Clap. That's great. Clap, clap, clap.
I love it. Just one clap. That's on Twitch.
I'll just keep going, and maybe some stuff will roll in.
Yeah.
So I think the last thing that we wanted to do.
It was.
How big are the save
Raytheon
files? Sorry, go ahead.
How big? Oh no, you're actually streaming the chat now.
I am streaming the chat now. Yeah.
That we don't have to. All right. How big are the save files, Kyle?
The save files they're pretty small. Yeah, they're like less than a meg. They're bigger on bigger maps. But they're not huge. So if you unless you're like really space constrained, you can put it on autosave 1, and you can just basically kind of save all day. It could actually be interesting to see that on this, but yeah, I think the saves are all less than a meg, so they're not huge. They're not like like Elder Scrolls or Crusader Kings size saves. They're manageable. Sort of nice to use them. I'm going to actually. I'm just going to load up the tutorial. We can talk a little bit about this. So I wanted just to show some of this tutorial to show people who are interested in trying this, kind of what is in the tutorial. And then we're seeing again, so the demo is up right now on Steam. So if you want to jump into the demo, this is in there for you. But just to kind of give you all watching a taste of how this sort of works, to show you that you can learn it, and it's not too much work. I'm just going to skip this text for a second and tell you how the tutorial basically works, which is that, so when you are doing something in the tutorial, we'll tell you kind of what to do, but then on the left side over here, we'll provide you with an objective that tells you what to do as well. So I can see here now my goal is to select the conscript. And if I select it, We'll say a little bit more about what happens when a unit gets selected. And then move through this. And I can now see that my goal is to move the conscript. When I mouse over this objective, it'll show me, oh, this is where I want to move. So if I use this conscript, I can now click here to move. And then we'll say a little bit more text. And then, an enemy has appeared. And then we teach you a little bit about attacking. And then we kind of keep going on where we'll teach you about ranges and moving and then loading and unloading, base building, supply lines, generator pulling, region capture. All that stuff is done as part of this tutorial. So if you're feeling lost based on what we talked about, definitely give the tutorial a go and then play chapter 1. And then I think you'll find that you're very well set up to do stuff. I'm trying to think what else we can talk about.
Is the early access free or part of a purchase? And when can people throw their money at this?
That's a great question. I guess we'll talk a little about early access. So early access is going live on May 12th. It will not be free. It'll be paying for the game. We don't know the exact price point yet for how much it'll be or like if there's a discount or whatever. But you will be able to buy the game then, and it will be it's not going to be something where you pay some amount of money and then pay more money in the future. If you buy at early access, you'll have access to the game. And part of early access will be, the first release, at least of early access, will be the first 3 chapters of the game. So we kind of showed you a little bit of chapter 1.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah, I didn't really show you anything else. And then chapters 2 and 3 will also be in there. And each of those chapters, the way the sort of game works is that there's 9 total chapters with 3 chapters for each faction. So chapter 1, 2, and 3 will be a chapter map for the humans, machines, and aliens. You would play as everyone as part of that. Additionally, we will be shipping at least the first version of the modding stuff, which will mostly be focused on kind of creating maps with what Cantata has inside of it. So it's not going to be like all custom stuff yet. That will be shortly thereafter. Promise. It's like the game is set up to do it. This is not like we're implementing it like, I guess we're saying the tutorial and chapter 1 are all built in the modding editor. So none of this is hard coded. You could literally go back and rebuild a new tutorial if you wanted to. None of this is hard coded. It's literally just, we made it in our editor. So that'll be part of it. And there's one other thing that will be part of the early access that I don't totally know if we're ready to talk about yet. But it will be a big thing. So that will also be part of it. But then the goal of early access and what we really want to do with that and why we're doing early access in the first place is that there's just a lot of stuff in Cantata. And I think that there's a lot of things that we want to make sure that players are sort of able to respond to and give us feedback on, both from the map perspective as well as the units and the balance and the way stuff works or specific mechanics that we're probably going to add in before early access as well. And so what we really want is Cantata to be just a really great tactical system, something that just is really great to play, both in terms of our sort of imagined version of it with this sci-fi setting, but then also having it be a system where people who want to build a Lord of the Rings game or something, or you want to make their own mod for their own fanfic or whatever, that if they want to do a tactical game, they can basically use Cantata in our modding tools. So part of early access is to kind of improve kind of the core campaigns and the just gameplay of Cantata in general, but then also just making it so that the game as a whole is really set up to do a lot of this custom content, as well as just kind of really being rock solid at the basics. And then from there, we can sort of go wherever. So yeah, I think that might have answered a little bit of that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think any other stuff. Do you have any questions on Steam or YouTube? Anything popping up?
No, Steam chat. I think everyone's on Twitch. Steam chat is pretty clean.
Cool.
Nothing on YouTube.
All right. Well, I think what we will do then is we're not gonna stay around too long, but so we're gonna end the stream. But before you go, we're gonna do a new thing where we go to the Discord after the stream and kind of hang out a little bit. If people who are here watching on Twitch, we're also are part of our Discord. You're not already part of the Discord. We're going to go just hang out in the chat there for a little bit and answer any other questions that people might not have wanted to ask on any of the stream chats. So if you want to join us there, I don't actually have a good link to send you right now in chat, but down here, if you're playing the demo, if you click this Discord button, that'll take you to Discord. This button takes you to the forums, this button to Twitter, and this button to wishlist us on Steam.
I might have a link I can put in the Steam chat.
Oh yeah, if you got a link to put in Steam chat, that would be great. I'll wait for that to go before we fully end the stream. But
all right, the link is in the Steam chat.
Link is in the Steam chat.
I'm gonna throw it on the Twitch.
So we're gonna basically go. I forget the name of the channel specifically, but I think it's a voice channel. We're gonna go and we'll kind of hang out. I think people can like join and tune in. And we'll just kind of answer some few questions probably for like 15, 20 minutes, maybe just kind of like follow up stuff from the stream. Oh, Rogue has disappeared. So yeah, I think, she's back. There we go.
I tried to find the link and I vanished.
But yeah, so if you want to come join. So again, early access, May 12th. This is like the first sort of like, hello, we're still alive bit that will be done as part of leading up to early access. So expect more streams leading up to early access. Expect a little bit more news. We're going to be a little bit more loud. There's still like so much art and stuff that nobody has seen yet that we're excited to kind of start showing people leading up to that early access period. And again, if you like Cantata, definitely wishlist us on Steam. That stuff really does matter. It helps other people find the game and find out what's going on. If you're on Steam right now and you haven't clicked wishlist, it's like right there. So do that. And come hang out on the Discord, hang out on the forums, talk to us on Twitter, wherever. The demo is live for, I think, at least about a week. So if you want to play it, now is definitely the time. And we're obviously all ears for any feedback that comes from that. So thank you everybody so much for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Of course. What do you mean thanks?
New voice.
Thank you guys for having
someone
me.
new. Yeah.
Yeah. Moisture Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see people who want to come hang out on the Discord, and otherwise we will talk to you all and see you soon and talk more about what's going to happen in early access. So talk to you later.